It's time for Inside the Jets, presented by EY, building a better working world. Now, here's Bart Scott and Dan GRACA.
And welcome into another edition of Inside the Jets, presented by EY, building a better working world. Dan GRACA and Bart Scott hanging out with you once again. Bart, how's things, my man?
Not too jolly, man. I can't take too many more losses. It was a tough loss yesterday. I feel for the guys. I understand, 0-13, nobody wanted to be here. I just feel, having that long flight from Seattle, I know that can be a tough one. I've made that trip before,
right,
under better circumstances, and it sucked then too. So it definitely has to be even worse, the fact that you're 0-13. And you got to try as hard as it is to try and move forward. And that's going to be tough. It's going to really test the resolve of this group.
Yeah, and there was a lot of question going into the game yesterday, too, about how this team would respond, how this team would get off the mat after what was as difficult a loss as they've had all season the previous week against the Raiders. So how would they respond? Well, they made the coaching change with Greg Williams being relieved of his duties. They had some injuries to key players. They're making the cross-country trip all the way out to the West Coast, as you said, which is not fun at all. Oh, and by the way, then you're taking on a good football team in Seattle who was trying to get back on the horse after losing a tough game in their building the previous week to the New York Giants. And they came out with a purpose. And as you said, it was tough sledding all the way for the Jets, 40-3 the final. And that was a game that, when you look at the final score, Bart, it was indicative of how things transpired over the course of the 60 minutes. And when you think about it, Seattle and Pete Carroll, they called off the dogs in the second half because Geno Smith came in for Russell Wilson. A lot of the backups got some playing time, or else maybe the score is even more lopsided.
Yeah, you think about missed opportunities. I thought early on it was a bit of a fight. I thought they were able to try and, contain Russell Wilson. You can never stop him. But the fact that you kept missing field goals, couldn't get on the board, you didn't get an end result for all the hard work that you had put together to try and move the ball on this defense, really, I think, damaged the spirit of these guys.
All right, time now to get more on yesterday's game with senior reporter Eric Allen and former Jets tight end Anthony Beck. Take it away, guys.
Thanks, fellas. Well, it started out good for the New York Jets, Anthony. They scored on their opening possession for a 7th consecutive game. But after that field goal, it was all Seahawks after that. The Jets fall 40-3 and now are 0-13.
Yeah. Listen, I was all in on that happening, and they were able to score on their first drive. So that was good to see. Look, they hung close in the first half. I mean, you missed 3 field goals. You put yourself in a different position. The game, visually and mentally looks a lot better if you have 9 more points in the second half. Let's be honest, just not a lot of fire. I think it kind of led into with the misses and not scoring points and really generating anything on offense carried into the second half. And really Seattle, there was no way to really stop them offensively and really couldn't put anything together against their defense as well.
Marcus May with a brilliant interception there early in the game. Can you talk about the individual effort there by Marcus May, who continues to be the last man standing there in the secondary?
No doubt about it. Here's a guy early on in his career that battled injuries, and now the last couple of years has been, Mr. Resilient. I mean, he's out there, he's fighting, he's calm. And that's a Sports Center highlight right there. And that's his second one this season, the interception-wise, where he made a spectacular catch, one-handed grab, the focus, the determination. You're falling on your back, tipping the ball up with one hand, bringing it down, concentration against arguably the best receiver in the NFL currently as far as yards per catch. That's a tough matchup for anybody. And he ran with him, he stuck with him, turned his head around, got himself in position to make a play, and you're right. That's a big-time play, and he's a big-time player. He is a bright spot on a team that, hasn't had many this season.
What did you make of Sam Darnold's effort today?
Yeah, you know, I think right now we're seeing what Sam is. You're right, converting third downs more importantly in the first half, I think 2 for 7. That's not good enough. You have to move the chains. You have to put yourself in position. You have to have a complementary running game to help out with some of that play action stuff that Sam's really good at. Weren't able to really create anything when the pressure came. As far as just from a passing standpoint within the game, it was adequate. Clearly wasn't good enough, along with a lot of performances across the board offensively.
Coming up next, we'll be joined by Jets wide receiver Jamison Crowder on Inside the Jets, presented by EY, building a better working world. And welcome back to Inside the Jets, presented by EY, building a better working world. Dan GRACA alongside Bart Scott. It's time now for our player guest segment, also brought to you by EY, building a better working world. We're pleased to be joined now by the Jet wideout. He's in his second year as a member of the Green and White, Jamison Crowder, who's nice enough to join us here on the program. Jamison, it's Dan and Bart. Thanks for joining us, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Now, listen, seems almost like a continuation because I can remember taking those long flights out to Seattle. It's one of those things where you fall asleep, you wake up, and you still ain't even halfway past Missouri yet. You know what I mean? So what time did you guys get in, and are you like sleep deprived, or you haven't even felt the soreness yet from yesterday because you haven't went to sleep?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely tired. I mean, I was actually taking a little nap before I got on here, man. We got in about 2:30 last night, and then me personally, man, after the game and stuff, I can't go to sleep,
Right.
when I get home. So I really didn't go to bed till probably about 3:30, something to 4. And I had to get up, so I had to go in and get some treatment.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely tired, man. I'm probably gonna take me to go back to sleep when I get off this interview for sure.
Well, we appreciate you being so gracious to join us. Understand how precious time is. It's just kind of reflecting on the game yesterday and kind of looking back on sometimes when you have such a heartbreaking loss like you had against the Raiders. Sometimes you carry that over and that emotional like letdown the next game. Did you feel like maybe the team came out flat? Because it was opportunities early in the game, but it seemed like you guys just came out of flat and really lacked the energy that you guys had last week.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that, it was all, it was just drained from the Raiders game. That was a game obviously we feel like we should have won for sure. But I think you hit it on the head though. I think yesterday we just came out flat. And we had some opportunities early in the game. We go down first drive and, put up some points, we get a field goal. But we, drove the ball down the field, well enough to get down in scoring range. And then there was a couple of drives after that where we was able to get down there. We had a long kickoff return that, helped set us up. And we got to better put the ball in the end zone when we get, in the strike zone, the red zone area. And I think that, I think we missed one or two, 3 field goals, something like that.
3.
So,
Three.
So that, things like that definitely hurt. When you get down there, you can't, when you come away with nothing. I always feel like, getting a field goal, that's, what I'm saying? It's like, that's okay. You always want to get a touchdown. But, you can settle with a field goal. But when you don't get anything, then that's just kind of deflating. And then, obviously going against, a team like the Seahawks, just knowing what they have on the offensive side of football, you gotta come away with points some way, somehow. Yeah. You can't go 3-4 possessions without anything and think that you're gonna stay in the game with them. So it was kind of deflating yesterday. And like I said, man, we didn't come away with points. In those times that we was in the red zone, and I think that's what really hurt us.
I don't know if you heard this statistic, but the Jets right now have the longest active streak in the National Football League. You've scored on 7 consecutive opening possessions. So you guys are coming out of the gate strong offensively. You're putting points on the board. What happens after that? Do you see a difference where the fact that, all right, you guys put together these good opening drives, but then it's tough to maybe develop that consistency throughout the rest of the game to a certain extent? Do you have any feeling as to maybe why that happens?
Well, I mean, like I said earlier, we have good, opening drives, but there's also drives where we get in the red zone and we come away with nothing. And I think that, obviously that's kind of been the story of the year. We can get down in the red zone, but can't find a way to, get points. And I think, another phase of the game that we have to, continue to get better at is coming out of halftime. We come out at the halftime and it's flat, whether it's on the defense side of the ball or the offense side of the ball, it's kind of like we flat. We don't really get anything going, to start the second half. So that's obviously, an area that we got to continue to get better at going forward. And, if we can, master those situations, within the game, coming out, after halftime and find a way to get points, then I think, obviously that's going to make us a better ball club.
What have you guys learned maybe that you can try to do different so that you can come out to a fast start and traveling back to the West Coast in short notice and being able to adjust to the clock? Because now you got to adjust back to an East Coast clock. Now you got to go back to the West Coast the day before the game to try and catch back up. What have you guys learned from this, Seattle trip just from a procedural standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely tough. I think, the thing I've learned is like you said, man, it's all about the hydration and making sure that, I'm saying, that your body ready. I know that I've dealt with some, soft tissue injury. So this week right here, these next few days, man, for me, it's going to be like, very, very pivotal, man, as far as my recovery and everything. So, for me, I'm just trying to do everything I can to recover, to make sure that I get back, get my body back on track, make sure all my muscles and everything, is back firing how they supposed to be. Because like you said, man, on flights and stuff, like people don't really realize how much, the flights and stuff can kind of drain you and dehydrate you. And I'm just trying to make sure I get my body ready, ready for the week and make sure I'm hydrated and ready to go on Sunday.
And welcome back to Inside the Jets, presented by EY, building a better working world. Let's get a little bit more in detail into Sunday's game with the voices of the New York Jets. Here's Bob WISCHUSEN and Marty Lyons. Guys?
All right, thanks very much. Well, Marty, I'm not sure what positive we can point out. I mean, you normally talk about complementary football, all three phases of the game. Special teams has to help out the Jets with field position. They missed 3 field goals. Your offense and your defense have to complement one another. Neither did that against Seattle. Of the losses that they've had this season, there have been some that have been competitive, some that have been lopsided. This one was probably the worst of the year, and it's really tough to find something to build off of.
Well, the only thing you can build off of, and you talked about it earlier, Bob, is being ready to play on the opening drive. That's the only time the Jets looked like they were ready to play the game. You know what? You have a field goal, then you punt, then you fumble, then you had 3 missed field goals, then you punt, and then thank God the game ended. But you know what? When you're not playing complementary football and your defense is giving up chunks yardage to the Seattle Seahawks, and then you get in a position to score some points and you have 3 consecutive missed field goals, it's deflating, not just for the special teams, but the entire team.
Yeah, I was going to say, those missed field goals really seem to take whatever air the Jets had in their tires out in the first half. At halftime during our broadcast, you were ready to turn some tables over. I could see the old player in you coming out. What would you be saying to this group in the locker room at halftime, post-game, even in the meeting rooms during the week?
Well, first of all, if you have to say it at halftime, you're almost behind. Second of all, you can't say it at the end of the game because the game's over. You got to get the players, you got to get yourself up for the opportunity, up for the challenge in the locker room before the game even starts. You got 3 more opportunities to do that. You're going to come from the West Coast back to your complex here in New Jersey, and then you're going to fly right back out to play the Rams, and you better be ready. You better buckle it up because nobody's going to feel sorry for you, and nobody wants to lose to an 0-13 team. Nobody wants to be that team that, hey, you know what? How did you let the Jets beat you? Well, Seattle beat you, but you also beat yourself for the first time in, the entire season. You did not play good football.
With a long flight back to the East Coast, then you're right, turning back around to go right back out to the West Coast. This is going to feel like a short week for the Jets.
Coming up next, we'll have more with Jets wideout Jamison Crowder right here on Inside the Jets, presented by EY, building a better working world. Welcome back to Inside the Jets, presented by EY, building a better working world. Dan GRACA, Bart Scott, hanging out with Jet wide receiver Jamison Crowder. I was talking to Sam earlier this week. I was doing an event with him, and, when you talk to different guys on the team, like talk to Mackay and George Fenn or whatever, basketball is a big theme. Even though you guys are football players, basketball is a big theme. So I was talking to Sam and I said, I want to know who are the 5 guys. Like if there was like an all-starting 5 Jets basketball team, this is what he said. You tell me. Obviously, Mackay and George Fant, because those guys, you need your big guys.
Yeah.
Sam said he would be the shooting guard. He said you would be the point guard, but we need one more guy. He couldn't come up with a 5th guy. So would you be the point guard? You would be the ball handler? And who would be that 5th guy on the team?
Yeah, for sure. I'd be the ball handler, the facilitator, point guard, run the show.
Chris Paul.
I don't know who that 5th guy would be.
I would think it naturally would be Herndon because usually tight ends can hoop, but I don't think Herndon can hoop.
No, Herndon told us
No.
Yeah.
He talked like he can hoop, but he didn't glow about himself enough for me to have real confidence that he can ball. He might be able to ball in the suburbs. We can't take him to the Rutgers or Dyckman Street and see if he can really ball.
Yeah, now my boy Marcus May say he can play. He joins into the conversation in the locker room. We talking about
he wear the
say he
high
can play.
shorts. He wear the high shorts
Oh,
like Joe Dumars. But I
wasn't
don't know if he
Marcus
got
like
game.
he was like a good high school basketball player. Like he was thinking about maybe playing ball in college too.
Man,
Okay,
everybody
well,
was good in
I
high
guess, I
school,
guess
bro.
May have to be the fifth. May,
All right.
May.
Oh, so
probably
y'all
have to
go
be the
y'all
fifth,
going small
so.
lineup. Y'all going small lineup. Y'all going 3-guard set then. Y'all going
Well,
3-guard set.
That's what the league is now, man.
You got Big Makai, you know what I'm saying, down low. So it's like, you got a big man, but
Yeah,
they get
did.
the rebound and we push it. We gonna push the pace, me and May, and kick it to Sam. Hopefully Sam can shoot. I don't know, I ain't never seen him play, but he say he can shoot, so we'll see.
How's the year been for you though? You mentioned the COVID thing and certainly the protocols. And look, there's a lot of things you're not accustomed to, doing the things that you're normally accustomed to doing. How has that been like for you, the entire experience this season?
I mean, it's definitely been challenging. I just think this across the league has been a challenge. Mondays and Tuesdays, whereas normally you can go in and get a lift on Monday or Tuesday. Typically Monday we come in and run. It's like now they got the protocols where you really can't even go in the building unless you have to, unless you're like a mandatory like treatment type of guy with dealing with an injury or something like that. And then everything is online. It's it's a little different. It's a little bit challenging to to receive the information as far as going over the playbook and everything when everything is virtual. You're not really you're not in the classroom. I was getting that face to face like that coach asking questions. Like I mean, you can ask questions online, but it's something that's a little bit different. So what I'm saying, it's a challenge, but at the end of the day, we find a way to pivot and find a way to maneuver and make things happen. So it's been a challenge, but we made it this far, and we just gonna have to finish out these next few weeks and then just see what happens.
When you look at the remainder of your schedule right now, and you're taking it one game at a time, but clearly everybody in that room wants to get a victory. They want to at least be able to get that goose egg out of the win column there. You look at this Rams team coming up. Yes, it's another trip out to the West Coast, which is going to be tough. And you look at that defense, they're ranked number 1 for a reason. They got a guy, of course, Aaron Donald, who's as good as they come.
Yeah.
When you look at them on film, and I know you maybe haven't gotten into it yet, but you figure you're going to have to play even better to have a challenge against this team.
Right. I mean, like you said, man, they rank number 1 for a reason. But at the end of the day, man, we are professionals, man. We got to, do what we got to do this week in preparation. To prepare and, everybody, and that's everybody across the board, players, coaches, got to do what we can in preparation to go out there and put ourselves in the best, situation, best predicament to go out there and win a ball game. And, that's my approach, and hopefully that's everybody else's approach going into this week. Like you said, it's another West Coast trip, but, it is what it is. It's football. It's the business. We got to go out there and just make plays and, just try to get the dub.
Yeah, man, we got to get you some melatonin, man, so you can go get your nap, man, so you can be ready for Sunday. You know what I'm saying? We ain't going to hold you too much longer. That's for sure, man. I see it in your eyes, man. It's like when those endorphins start coming down and you're like at home, you can't stay up, man. You about to be out for the count, man. We're going to get you some rest.
There's only so much the spring water can do for you in that situation, right? Only so much. What did you think of that stadium, by the way? Because this will be your second time playing out at the new SoFi Stadium. You played there against the Chargers. What did you think of that place?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's definitely nice. State of the art. State of the art facility, man. It's dope. So, I look forward to going back out there playing the stadium again. And like I said, man, hopefully, man, this time we can come back with a victory.
Well, Jamison, heal up, my friend. Get some rest. And thanks for joining us here, of course, as always. Best of luck against the Rams and the rest of the season here, and finish strong. But always appreciate the conversation, man.
Oh, yeah. Appreciate y'all having me, for sure.
That's all the time we have for this week. For Bart Scott, I'm Dan GRACA. Thanks for joining us on Inside the Jets, presented by EY, building a better working world. So long, everyone.